Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We are starting a new chapter today. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, entitled Lord Kapiladev's Instructions on the Movements of the Living Entities. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. पानी कहाँ जा रहा है? नॉर्मल है ना? हाँ, कोई लीक तो नहीं ना? अच्छा, फाउंटेन का आवाज है. ठीक है, सॉरी, मैं थोड़ा, मुझे लगा कहीं लीक तो नहीं हो रहा. बेग योर पार्डन. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम 3.31.1. श्री भगवान उवाच कर्मणा दैवनेत्रेण जन्तुर्देहोपपत्तये स्त्रिया प्रविष्ट उदरं पुंसो रेतः कणाश्रयः. The personality of Godhead, Sri Bhagavan, said, now, those of you who have heard Srila Prabhupada's lectures, you will immediately recognize that Karmana Daiva Netrana, Prabhupada says several dozens of times. Karmana Daiva Netrena, Prabhupada says. So, Karmana Daiva Netrena Jantur Dehopapattaye. Jantu, Jiva, gets a Deha, gets a body under the divine supervision, netra, vision of Krishna. Not that randomly anybody gets birth anywhere. There is a method to the madness. There is madness in this world, but there is a method to the madness. So, karmana daiva netrena, jantur deho papatta. Upapattaye means to obtain. And how? Ultimate cause is Krishna, daiva netra. And what is the immediate cause? Striya pravishta udaram. The jiva is put into the womb of the mother. How? Pumsaha retaha kana ashraya. The jiva takes shelter in the semen of the purush. The purush implants it in the udar of the stri, and then the birth takes place. This is biological cause. But the spiritual cause is Krishna, who he decides which family, what type of body. And it is based on law of karma. Karmana Daivanitra. Who created law of karma? Krishna. The personality of Godhead said, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to the result of his work, karma, the living entity, the soul, Jantu, is made to enter, pravishta, udaram, is made to enter the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, as stated in the last chapter, after suffering different kinds of hellish conditions, a man comes again to the human form of body. So everybody will remember what we discussed last time is, when a person doesn't believe in Krishna, doesn't act according to dharma, when the person dies, there was a detailed description how the person is claimed, the subtle body and the soul is claimed by the Yamdutas. And the Yamdutas take the soul along with the subtle body to Yamlok by giving a special body meant for suffering. Yatana Deha, the exact word, Sanskrit word used was Yatana Deha. A Yatana Deha is given, Yatana Sharir is given to the living entity. And in that Yatana Sharir, the Jiva is taken many yojanas in a short moment of time. And how? Why? Whipping. Chalo jaldi, come on, fast, run, like that. The Jiva is taken, the soil is scorching hot, there are fires on all sides, and then you are also being whipped. And then Yamraj immediately, without any delay, not that you have come so many yojanas, rest a little bit. No. Immediately Yamraj makes the decision that now you go to this hell for this much suffering. And that Yatana Deha will not die for that much period of time. And then you are given various sufferings, you're beaten, and your consciousness is downgraded to whatever animal birth you're supposed to get. If you're supposed to get a hog birth, then your consciousness, because the subtle body is same that you had in the human life, that by beating, by torturing, by punishing, the consciousness is dull. How someone, if a person is just kept isolated in a place, there is no academic stimulation, there is no intellectual stimulation, how we become deconditioned? So imagine going there and being punished by the Yamdutas. So scary. In a different body called Yatana Sharir, which is highly sensitive to perceiving pain, and you are only given pain. So the consciousness is downgraded, and then you are put into an appropriate animal species. You like to be naked, you are given a tree body. You like to eat anything without regulation, without restriction, you are given the body of a hog because they eat whatever, even stool. You like to eat meat, then first of all, you are punished by having your meat, your flesh eaten. We read that. And then after that, you are given a body where you will be eaten by other animals in this earth. Like you may get the body of a deer, and a pack of hyenas will attack you. And even while you're living, while you're crying, you're struggling for your life, they will eat you morsel after morsel, your flesh, even while you're alive. Then the jiva transmigrates to different animal species and ultimately comes in a human species. And then what happens when that soul, having been tortured on the way to Yamlok, having been tortured on the orders of Yamaraj in some hellish planet, and after going through so many sufferings in different animal and bird species, now finally that jiva has gotten a residence in the semen of a man, human being, and he has been implanted into the womb of a woman. Now let's see what happens. And all this is happening not randomly. It is happening under the divine supervision, Devanetra, of Krishna. Now Prabhupada says further, in order to give a particular type of human form to a person who has already suffered hellish life, the soul is transferred to the semen of a man who is just suitable to become his father. So you will enter the semen of a man who you deserve as a father. During sexual intercourse, the soul is transferred through the semen of the father into the mother's womb in order to produce a particular type of body. Now, what type of body is produced? That is also supervised by Krishna. This process is applicable to all embodied living entities, but it is especially mentioned for the man who was transferred to the Andha Tamisra hell. From there, now slowly he has evolved into a human species of life. After suffering there, when he, who has had many types of hellish bodies, like those of dogs and hogs, is to come again to the human form, he is given the chance to take his birth in the same type of body from which he had degraded himself to hell. So it's exactly like somebody who is doing DUI, driving under influence of alcohol, gets the license suspended and has to pay lawyer fee, probably has to go to jail, serve some time there, do some community service. And now finally the license is reinstated. Now you're back behind the wheels. That's exactly what happens to us. We make a mistake in human form. Mistake means we make wrong choices. We go to hell. We work our way up through the animal species into the human species of life. निष्कांत प्रभु कहाँ है? चैंटिंग कर ठीक है. So then he finally gets a human form of life. Now let's see. Now, such a person comes into the womb of a mother. The soul is so excited that I'm going to get a human form of life, the most intelligent form of life, the only form of life where I can take to spirituality. And then your parents abort you. Won't that jiva, that jantu, appeal to Yamaraj? What is this? I got a chance and my parents took it away from me. So therefore, abortion is very sinful. Text 2. Kalalam ekratreण pancharatreण budbudam dashahena tu karkandhu peshandam va tatah param. On the first night, the sperm and ovum mix. And on the fifth night, the mixture ferments into a bubble. This is the embryogenesis, how the embryo is formed. On the 10th night, it develops into a form like a plum. And after that, it gradually turns into a lump of flesh or an egg, as the case may be. So, this is how, after the jiva is implanted in the womb of the mother, slowly, from a small organism, it starts growing into a fetus. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the body of the soul develops in 4 different ways, according to different types of parents. Trees and plants, they sprout from the earth. So some bodies are developed from the earth. The mother is the earth. Second type, from perspiration, like flies, germs, and bugs. Third type is from eggs, like the birds, or certain amphibians, like crocodile. They also come from eggs. And the fourth is embryo. Embryo means all mammals, like a cow directly give birth, giraffe directly give birth, human beings directly give birth, monkey. So mammals. So 4 types. Those that appear from the earth, like trees and plants. Those that come from perspiration, like flies and germs and bugs. Those that come from eggs, and those that come from embryo. Human beings come from embryo. This verse indicates that after emulsification of the ovum and the sperm, means after the combination of the sperm and the ovum comes from the mother, sperm comes from the father. The soul is where? In the sperm. The body gradually develops either into a lump of flesh or into an egg, as the case may be. In the case of birds, it develops into egg. In the case of animals and human beings, it develops into embryo, lump of flesh. Now let's see what happens. Text 3. Masena tu shiro dvabhyam भाव अंग्री आदि अंग विग्रह नख लोमास्थि चर्माणि लिंग छिद्रोद्भवस्त्रिभिः. In the course of a month, Masena, the head is formed, Shiro. And at the end of 2 months, Vabhyam, the mouth, the hands, 2 mouths, the hands, feet, and other limbs take shape. End of the 2 months, the hands, feet, and other limbs take shape. By the end of 3 months, what happens by the end of 3 months? Tribhi. By the end of 3 months, even the nakha, nails, fingers, toes, body hair, skin, charmani, they start appearing. Bones, they start appearing. As do the organs of generation and other apertures of the body. Chhidra, different holes in the body, they start developing by the 3rd month. Namely, eyes, nostril, ears, mouth, and the anus. By 3 months, all this is there. Text 4. Chaturbhir dhatava sapta panchabhi kshutrid udbhavah षड्भिर जरायुणा वीतः कुक्षौ भ्राम्यति dakshine. Within 4 months, Chaturbhir, from the date of conception. So there are some religions that believe that life starts at birth. Therefore, abortion is okay. But when does life start? Raise your hand. When does life start? Yes, Janani Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, from the day of conception.
Yes, clearly it is mentioned in Bhagavatam. Very good. From the time of conception, life begins, which means if you abort immediately, 2-3 days afterwards, still it is murder because the soul has come to the womb of the mother already. Within 4 months from the date of conception, the 7 essential ingredients of the body, namely chyle, blood, flesh, fat, bone, marrow, and semen, come into existence. At the end of 5 months, hunger and thirst make themselves felt. And end of 6 months, the fetus enclosed by the amniotic fluid begins to move on the right side of the uterus. And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, when the body of the child is completely formed at the end of the 6 months, the child, if male, begins to move to the right side, if female, tries to move to the left side, like that. So this is the complete embryogenesis that is being described to us by Bhagwan Kapil Dev himself. When there was no sonography, no ultrasound, no X-ray, no CT scan. Of course, X-ray CT scans we don't do a pregnant lady because the radiation is harmful for the fetus. Text 5. Matur jagdhanna panadyair edhad dhatur asammate shete vin mutrayorgarte sajanturjantu sambhave. Deriving its nutrition from the food and drink taken by the mother. The child has an umbilical cord connected to the navel. This umbilical cord connects to the placenta. Placenta connects to the mother. So that's how from the umbilical cord, the nutrition comes to the fetus from the mother. Amazing arrangement. Amazing arrangement. No plastic, no fossil fuels are required. Nothing is organically. A new human being is being produced. Incredible.
Life comes especially this book.
Yes. Prabhupada said, "Bana ke dikhao." Make a human being should make a mosquito from just matter. Not cloning. Cloning we are already borrowing from what Krishna has created. Or create a machine that can reproduce itself without any external help. सिर्फ पेट्रोल भरते रहो और वो नया कार टेस्ला gives birth to टेस्ला अपने आप. And that mother Tesla nourishes the baby Tesla. So कैसे? So just see how advanced Krishna is. We can never come close.
Monday class for the budget.
See how exactly. Full complete units are coming out. Akshay? Yeah. So deriving its nutrition, not that the fetus now we have to some externally supply some nutrition to the fetus. No, the mother is Krishna's arrangement. Mother is everything is there. Deriving its nutrition from the food and drink taken by the mother, the fetus grows and remains in that abominable residence of stool and urine, which is the breeding place of all kinds of worms. I remember when I was doing my MBBS at Grand Medical College, JJ Hospital in Bombay, we had a professor of anatomy, very senior guy. And he used to say that in the mother's womb, we were all Morarji Desai. Because it's a fact, in the womb only we pee. And that only we swallow. And we pee and we swallow. And we pee and we swallow in the womb. We don't defecate. If there is defecation may happen just before birth, but that can be a problem. It can be a sign of fetal distress. Meconium, yes. So, the child lives there in the stool and urine. And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says in Sri Markandeya Puran, it is said that the intestine of the mother, the umbilical cord, which is known as Apyayani, joins the mother to the abdomen of the child. Correct, the umbilical cord, exactly. And through this passage, the child within the womb accepts mother's assimilated foodstuffs. All the nutrition comes. In this way, the child is fed by the mother's intestine within the womb and grows from day to day. So it's very much accurate, and it can be confirmed by modern studies also. Now, Srila Prabhupada says that if the mother eats certain pungent foodstuffs like salt, chili, onion, it will affect the child because the child is getting that same nutrition. So, mother has to be careful what she eats during pregnancy. We can understand from the Vedic literature how much care is taken to beget a nice child in society. The Garbhadan ceremony before sexual intercourse was compulsory for persons in the higher grades of society, and it is very scientific. Other processes recommended in the Vedic literature during pregnancy are also very important. So that book of samskaras is there, it's important. To take care of the child is the primary duty of the parents. I remember when one devotee couple, they had a child. They used to live not far from Radha Gopinath Mandir. They used to live in Mumbai Central, so not very far, maybe 10-15 minutes by auto rickshaw. So they had this um, regulation that they would come for Mangal Aarti every day. For several years, they did that as a couple, and then they had a child. So of course, during delivery and all, they were not coming. But after birth, when the child was just a few days old, they resumed their practice of coming every day for Mangal Aarti. In Radha Gopinath Mandir, Mangal Aarti is at 5 o'clock. So 4:45, so 4:30 they used to leave home every morning. 7 days a week. They used to chant there, do full morning program. But the child used to cry. Because they're like children, newborns, they like to sleep. So Maharaj immediately told the parents that your deity is your child. Don't take him here and there. Keep him comfortable. Now your duty is to take care of the child. Treat your child like your personal deity. Then Radha Gopinath will be happy. When he grows up, then you can come for Mangal Aarti every day, no problem. But right now, your health of the child and the safety of the child comes first. Small child, no, you bring in the temple hall, there are so many devotees, they can catch infection. So here, Prabhupada is saying, to take care of the child is the primary duty of the parents. Because if such care is taken, society will be filled with good population to maintain the peace and prosperity of the society, country, and the human race. Otherwise, Varna Sankar is very dangerous. Text 6. Krimibhi kshata sarvangah saukumaryat pratikshanam urcham apnot urukleshas tatratyai shudhitair muhu. Bitten again and again all over the body by the hungry worms in the womb itself, the child suffers terrible agony because of his tenderness. Because tenderness means everything is very tender, everything is just growing raw. He thus becomes unconscious, murchit, murcham apnoti, and uruklesha, lot of suffering. Moment to moment, he becomes unconscious moment after moment because of the uruklesha, because of the terrible suffering, terrible condition. Purport. The miserable condition of material existence is not only felt when we come out of the womb of the mother, it is also present within the Adyantavanta Kaunteya Nateshur Madhyabhuta. Beginning to the end, it's only suffering. Therefore, the 4 types of sufferings, one is Janma. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. We can know that Jara is definitely problematic. Mrityu is problematic. Janma, Mrityu, and Vyadhi, of course, is problematic. That's why there are doctors. But even Janma is problematic. You see, there are so many children, they have lifelong paralysis because of complications in the womb of the mother, because of complications during the birth also. It's very unfortunate. So there is no doubt that birth is a problem. We celebrate birthday, but actually it is like someone who entered the jail that day and we celebrate. तू जेल आया था तुझे 6 साल हो गए जेल आके. Hare Krishna. But still, in the Vaishnava culture, we celebrate it. Srila Sanatana Goswami cooked sweet rice on Srila Rupa Goswami's birthday. Birthdays are celebrated. Why? Because the Vaishnava's life is to be celebrated. Because they are teaching us how to put an end, Purna Viram, to this repeated cycle of birth and death. Therefore, Hari Parshad Prabhu wrote the Janma Divas Panchakam.
Beginning of the
Gaur Sundar Charan is saying it's the beginning of the end. Very nice. Yes. Nice comment. Sanatana Thakur said, Om Purnamada Purnamidam. You said beginning of the end. Hare Krishna. So, yes. So, birth is also a problem. We must understand this. Prabhupada is saying that. Unfortunately, we forget this experience of the pain of birth and do not take miseries of birth very seriously. Because, see, if you remember, we'll have PTSD, post-traumatic stress. It's really, I'm telling you, fact. If there is a very painful experience we have had in life and we are not able to forget it, we cannot live, Prabhu. Every moment we are in that panic, anxiety. So to move on in life, we need to forget. We have to just mentally block out those terrible experiences. Otherwise, हम जी नहीं पाएंगे. We'll not be able to live. But then if we don't remember, then we'll again do nonsense. No. Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti hayamalaya. We are seeing others taking birth. They cry as soon as they are born. We see that. We see people fall sick. We see people get old. We experience ourselves get old. And we see people die. So we should not forget. Dukkha doshanu darshan. Very, very nice. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshan. Ho raha hai darshan. So we should never forget. Text 7. Katu tikshnoshna lavana ruksham ladi bhir ulbanai matra bhuktair upasprishtha sarvangothita vedana. Owing to the mother's eating bitter, pungent foodstuffs or food which is too salty or too sour, the body of the child incessantly suffers pains which are almost intolerable. Vedana means lot of pain. Now it's a fact that when a woman is pregnant, she may have altered taste, Matajis. They may like certain things only during pregnancy. And after they give birth, then that thing goes away. मराठीत काय म्हणतो बरोबर म्हणते ना? हा? डोहाळे नाही डोहाळे ना हाँ. So what do you say in Hindi? Pregnant lady, she feels अभी मुझे वड़ा पाव खाना है, बॉम्बे लेके चलो सोनीपत से. So like that, they have altered taste and they eat all this riffraff and then the child suffers. Well, all that is going there. Haribol. There is suffering. Purport. All descriptions of the child's bodily situation in the womb of the mother are beyond our conception. We cannot conceive it because the child cannot communicate also. How we will understand? Only the child knows. Because his consciousness is not very developed, a child can't tolerate it, otherwise he would die. I have so many times given example. I was shocked when I came to America that in my intern year here I saw, and I had to do also, when a child is born, first of all, 95%, 90 to 95% of American parents, they opt to circumcise the male child at birth, at day one, in the hospital only, before the child is discharged, when the child is in the nursery, day one of life. And it is done without any anesthesia. Just because you can hold him down, tie him down, and you cannot complain. It's a fact. Even today, thousands of male circumcisions are happening in America with zilch, nothing, no anesthesia. They put a stick of pacifier in the mouth, coated with sugar, and they just snip the skin off. The child cries like anything. And I could not fathom, we don't do that in India. They said, oh, who will put the child through general anesthesia and all that. We just do it. Just because you can hold somebody down and that child will not have memory when he grows up, what happened to him, they do it in America. Circumcisions without anesthesia. Unfortunately, I was also forced to do because we had to do some 10 or 12. We had to lock them as part of our training. So there is always suffering in this world. 8. Ulbena samvritas tasmin antraischa bahiravritah आस्ते कृत्वा शिरः कुक्षौ भुग्ना पृष्ठ शिरोधरः. Placed within the amnion, that fluid covering the child, and covered outside by the intestines. Intestines means antrahi means the viscerals. We can understand it that it's the uterus. The child remains lying on one side of the abdomen, his head turned towards his belly like this, and his back and neck are arched like a bow. This perfect, accurate description. In fact, we call it the fetal position. Fetal position. I saw you sleep on your side, your head like this. In Krav Maga, they said if somebody is kicking you, beating you, go into the fetal position like that. Yes. Arch yourself. So at least your vital organs are kind of protected. Haribol. Remember the Krav Maga days? अरे आप नहीं थे प्रभु जी knows. So there's a fetal position which Bhagwan Kapil Dev is describing 5,000 years ago. Now we know it as the fetal position. If a grown man, my mummy must be in ecstasy. She was a gynecologist obstetrician. If a grown man were put into such a condition as the child within the abdomen, completely entangled in all respects, it would be impossible for him to live even for a few seconds. Prabhupada is saying, imagine you are in the uterus, like confined space. Literally, you know how this I'm sitting on this small chadar. Itne isme, if you have to live, just crouch and covered tightly from all sides, filled with water that is just your urine. And you're just like in a fetal position like that. You have to be on one side for weeks and months. That's what all of us have gone through. Surrender. It's coming now. Now there is 7th month, there is Smaran of 100 lifetimes of sins that we have done. It's coming. Then Bhagwan Kapil Dev says in text 9, Akalpa Swanga Cheshtayam. Oh, sorry, we'll finish that, no? No, we have to do that. Shakunta Eva Panjare. Shakunta means bird. Tatra Labdha Smritir Daivat Karma Janma Shatodbhavam. कर्म जन्म शतोद्भवन 100 लाइफ टाइम में जो कर्म किया है उसका स्मरण होता है. हरे कृष्ण. तत्र लब्ध स्मृतिर दैवात मीन्स कोई अगर फॉर्चुनेट है तो उनको by दैव they will remember 100 lifetimes of sinful activities, karma that we have done. स्मरण दीर्घम अनुच्छ्वासम शर्म किम नाम विंदते. The child thus remains just like a bird in a cage. शकुंत इव पंजरे. पिंजरे में पक्षी के समान. Without freedom of movement. Yeah, there is cannot move in the womb. That's why they're kicking children. They want to get comfortable. At that time, if the child is fortunate, Daivat, he can remember all the troubles of his past 100 births. Karma, Janma, Shatodbhavam, Smaran. He will remember. And he grieves wretchedly. Anushwasan. He grieves very much. What is the possibility of peace of mind in that condition? This is how our intrauterine life is. Very painful, full of suffering. But the fortunate person around 7 months of age will remember all the karma and will start offering Garbhastuti. Purport. After birth, the child may forget about the difficulties of his past lives But when we are grown up, we can at least understand the grievous tortures undergone at birth and death by reading the authorized scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam. Shastra reminds us what we have been through. See, I'll tell you one example, Akshay. I was 16 years old. I was in 10th standard and I got chicken pox. The peculiarity of chicken pox is the earlier you get, the better it is. First of all, it awards lifetime immunity. And the earlier you get, the milder it is. And when you get it in your teenage years, it's very severe. I got it when I was 16 years old. I was in my 10th standard, just finishing my 10th standard. We had our annual sports day. I was in Kho-Kho, I was in Kabaddi team, I was in tug of war team. So I really wanted to be there. And I had those chicken pox, scabs, and boils everywhere on my body. Inside my ears, at the edges of my eyelids, even blinking was a pain. Everywhere, inside the nose, breathing was painful, inside my mouth. And I was just, I remember, it was Machardani, bed, or Papa put all the neem leaves on the bed, and I was just lying like that for 1 week. Body filled with vesicles and just lesions, skin lesions, everywhere, my whole body, everywhere. Peet pe, I could not sleep on my back. Either I could not, either everywhere. But then slowly, the vesicles started to solidify and became scabs. Khipli, bolte hain. Scabs. But before that, when I was in the peak of chicken pox and more lesions were coming, I thought, is raat ki subah nahi. I thought that this is never going to end. I told my father, can you euthanize me? I was suffering so bad. I told my father, can you euthanize me? I want to die. I cannot live like this. This is torture. My whole body is on fire and there's nothing can be done. And then every time I used to see new lesions come, I used to freak out. But now I forgot it. I'm living as if I never had that suffering. But it was really one of the worst sufferings in my life, physically. So the thing is, Prabhupada is saying that we forget it so that we can live, we can move on. But Srimad Bhagavatam is supposed to remind us in a healthy way. Like Anand Vedant Prabhu says, कुछ भी करो पर किसी माँ के गर्भ में फिर से नहीं जाना. हमें भगवत प्राप्ति करनी है इसी जीवन. Now, one who does not take heed of these indications of suffering in human existence is said to be undoubtedly committing suicide. Atma. Akshay, Atma. Upanishad, Ishopanishad, you saw, no? Atma. He's a killer of the soul. If we do not cross the ocean of nescience of material existence, in spite of all these facilities, that we have got a human birth, we have guru, we have everything, a holy name, then certainly we are all intentionally committing suicide. Atma. Text 10. आरभ्य सप्तमान् मासान् लब्धबोधोऽपि वेपितः नैकत्रास्ते सुतिवातैर्विष्ठाभूत् इव सोदरः. Thus, endowed with the development of consciousness from the 7th month after his conception, the child is tossed downward by the airs that press the embryo during the weeks preceding delivery. Now, the child starts descending from the belly into the pelvis. Like the worms born of the same filthy abdominal cavity, he cannot remain in one place. Like the worms are always twirling and restlessly moving around, the feet is always moving. The mother says, ki, "Laat mar raha hai." Child is kicking, like that. At the end of the 7th month, the purport Srila Prabhupada says, the child is moved by the bodily air, and these are the different airs of the body, not the air that allopathy understands, Western medicine. No, this is Ayurvedic. And does not remain in the same place, for the entire uterine system becomes slackened before delivery. The worms have been described here as Sodara. Sodara means born of the same mother. Since the child is born from the womb of the mother and the worms are also born of fermentation within the womb of the same mother, under the circumstances, the child and the worms are actually brothers. Sahodar. So these worms, they are not like actual worms, but the nerve endings, they are like worms. They are growing and developing, and that's what causes pain as if worms are biting.
No, sending in the baby.
Mhm.
In the baby.
So it is said that in the womb, the baby is bitten by thousands of worms, but you don't see any worms coming out. It's a sterile environment inside the uterus. So it's not actual worms, but by worms, it means that you feel the pain as if there are worms biting you. And that happens when there is all this neurogenesis. The nerves are being formed. Now, our nerves are very sensitive. See, when we get a cut and the wound is healing, it's so painful because the nerves have been cut. So imagine a situation where the body's all the nerves are actually growing, coming, forming. So that process is so painful. It's like thousands of worms biting you. All the sensitive, highly sensitive nerves are being created.
The skin is also maybe.
Skin is also developing, not properly, it's still developing like that. So it's a very painful condition. Now this is a ready-made product. But when the product is being readied, it's very painful. Like jewelry looks very beautiful, but when the jewelry is being made, fire, thak, 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 thak. So human body also. You see a nice earthen pot, it looks very good. But वो earthen pot बनाने के लिए भट्टी पे डालते हैं ना, वो तो पूरा अग्नि होता है ऐसा. So like that. Text 11. नाथमान ऋषिर्भीतः सप्तवदरी कृतांजलिः. हाँ ये आ गया अभी. स्तुभित तम विक्लवया वाचा येनोदरे अर्पितः. Whenever we are in distress, we remember Krishna. The living entity in this frightful condition, where there is so much pain, you're tightly packed up, you're being pushed down by the airs, bound by 7 layers of material ingredients, the living entity prays Kritanjali with folded hands, appealing to the Lord who has put him in that condition. The Jiva prays. Purport. It is said that when a woman is having labor pains, she promises that she will never again become pregnant. I have heard this. I have heard this. The ladies saying that never again I'll do this. But then after a year, 2 years, they're back in the maternity ward to have their second child. Um, so she promises she will never become pregnant again and suffer from such severely painful condition. So many mothers have told me during delivery, because we had to do 40 deliveries as part of our residency training. I remember once Vedasar proposed calling me. I was in grade E in my labor and delivery rotation. So I was delivering a baby. And Vedasar, 2-3 times he called me. Something was there. It was Janmashtami coming up and he wanted to discuss something. And I couldn't answer because I was all scrubbed up and everything. So after the delivery, I answered, returned his call, said, Vedasar, sorry, I was delivering a child. He said, Hari bol, what else can a devotee do? A devotee always delivers. I said, no, you're not that delivery. I was just delivering the child. He said, no, you are delivering the child. Hare Krishna. So it is said that when a woman is having labor pains, so at that time, many times the ladies have told me that there is no pain like labor pain. There is no pain like labor pain. Hare Krishna. For us, it's a theoretical concept. Hare Krishna in this life. Similarly, when one is undergoing some surgical operation, he promises that he will never again act in such a way as to become diseased and have to undergo medical surgery. Or when one falls into danger, he promises he will never again make that same mistake. Similarly, the living entity, when put into that hellish condition in the womb of the mother, prays to the Lord that he will never again commit sinful activities and have to be put into the womb for repeated birth and death. So devotees like Anandradhan Prabhu are so great that they remember that prayer. And even now, they're repeating that prayer. Whereas others, they forget that prayer, that they had ever offered that prayer, made that promise to Krishna. Haribo. Now the Jiva will pray. Last verse, text 12. Now who is praying? Janturuvacha. In the Garbha. Because the subtle body is still there. Na? So Krishna can empower the mind to remember. So Janturuvacha Tasyopasannam Avitum. Nahi. तस्योपसन्नमवितुं जगदिच्छयात्त नानातनोर्भुवि चलचरणारविन्दम् सोऽहं व्रजामि शरणम् अकुतो भयं मे येनेदृशी गतिरदृश्यसतोऽनुरूपा. The human soul says, I take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in his various eternal forms and walks on the surface of the world. Ram, Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vamanadev. So many incarnations he has walked on this earth. And we are so sinful that we are still here. We are still here. Therefore, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur says that Vishwam Gaura Rase Magnam Sparshopi Mama Nabhavat Vanchitosmi 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 न संशय. विश्वम गौर रसे मग्न, सब लोग गौर रस में मग्न हो गए हैं. स्पर्श भी मम न भवत, पर मैं अकेला हूं, मुझे स्पर्श मात्र नहीं हुआ. Everybody is intoxicated with Gaura Rasa. Everybody has received the mercy of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, but I have not even been touched by the mercy of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Look at me. I have no taste. I have no love. He came to give love, Krishna Prem. I don't have Krishna Prem, which means I have not been touched by Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Vanchitosmi, 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 na samshaya. There is no doubt that I have been neglected. I have been neglected. I have missed out. What do they say? FOMA. Huh? Fear of missing. FOMO. Huh? FOMO. Fear of missing out. FOMO. So FOMO. I missed out. Gauranga Mahaprabhu came, gave Krishna Prem to everybody. I missed out. Like that. I take shelter of him only because he can give me relief from all fear, and from him I have received this condition of life, which is just befitting for my impious activities. Asato anurupa. I did asat. So anurup. This is correct. I deserve this punishment. The jiva is so enlightened. He's saying, I deserve this punishment. The word Chalaccharanara Vindam refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who actually walks on this surface. Why Krishna walks on this surface? To save us. Paritrana sadhuna sambhavami yuge yuge. For example, Lord Ramachandra actually walked on the surface of the earth. Lord Krishna Chandra also walked like an ordinary man. The prayer is therefore offered to the Supreme Personality of God who descends to the surface of the earth, because that avatar is most merciful. They came for us. Lord Ramachandra came for us. Lord Krishna Chandra came for us. Lord Gaurachandra came for us. Gaura Sundar Charan have walked on this earth. Hari Bol. It's a prayer to Gaura Sundar Charan for the protection of the pious and the destruction of impious. Paritrana sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrita. Another significant point in this verse is that Lord comes ichhaya, by his own will. In Bhagavad Gita, also Lord Krishna confirms Sambhavami Atmamaya. I come with my own internal potency. I appear at my will by my own internal potency. Whereas the Jantu Karmana Daivanetren. That is the difference. Krishna comes of his own sweet will. We come forced by the laws of karma. Hari Bol. So we should take this prayer very seriously, that Krishna, I have done so much. I have made wrong choices. I have suffered. But I want to rectify myself. I want to do what pleases you, and I want to be with you because I belong to you. Mama amsha jiva loka jiva bhuto sanatana. Why should I be away from it? Mahaprabhu has said, Krishna bhulya se jiva anadi bahirmukh ataiva mayatare deha samsar dukh. So I don't want samsar dukh. I want you, Krishna. So I want to turn towards you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I will chant your name. I will hear your glories. I'll hear your pastimes. I will remember you. I will worship you. I will associate with your devotees, and I will glorify you. Vandana. Hari Bol. And I will offer myself to you. Diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpan, sei kale Krishna kare tare atma samarpan. Hari Bol. So we'll stop here, dear devotees. We covered 12 verses. We'll start from verse number 13, Krishna willing, next time. His Grace Shyam Chandra Prabhu ki jai ho. Prabhu ji, व्रज में आए कि नहीं अभी तक?
नहीं प्रभु, अभी तक नहीं आए. Some testings going on health related here in Mumbai. So hopefully, either just before Janmashtami or maybe for Radhashtami, we'll be in Vrindavan.
Hari bol. And then you will be there for Kartik.
Yeah, please pray. Yeah, of course. See, please pray for us.
Hari bol. Radha also coming. Hopefully.
Oh, wonderful.
Radharani's mercy is there. Hare
What
Krishna.
about you?
Vanchitosmi, Vanchitosmi, Vanchitosmi na samshaya. Whenever
Hare
Radharani
Krishna.
calls. I don't have travel permit still. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
Prabhu, very interesting session today. Very nicely explained, especially the trouble that the jiva takes, sufferings, and then. So, I was just thinking, and see, there are two verses, one after another. One in which it is mentioned, Prabhupada mentions the purport that only the fortunate jivas are able to remember their past 100, birth sufferings. Correct?
Yes.
And so this probably we can understand based on the degree of consciousness, because we say that there are 4 lakh types of human consciousness, isn't it?
Hmm.
But yet in the subsequent verse, it is mentioned that all the jivas, they are actually pledging to the Lord that please relieve me out of this pain, and then they are glorifying. I mean, that means the consciousness is very pure at that point of time for all the jivas. There is no distinction in consciousness. Whereas earlier there was a distinction, and we know there is a distinction, that's why we get different births. But here, interestingly, all the jivas are pledging and they are all remembering the Lord of that, please relieve of this suffering, and I will not, I'll be very loyal and all that, I'll pray. So the prayers are there. So the prayers can come only in the pure conscious state. So I'm just trying to analyze, and if you can throw some light how this is, because then where is the question of, so that means only after birth the consciousness is changing, or see at the time of birth they're all same.
In the human species, they are same. For example, a cockroach may not offer those prayers. This refers specifically to human beings. Those
Yeah,
who
but
are,
my question is, there are 4 lakhs types of consciousness, which we say in human beings,
yeah,
gradation.
correct.
And that's why we are seeing somebody who is born in an elevated state and somebody who is born in a not so elevated or fortunate state, and then he has to go through the other process.
Yeah.
So yet before birth, when he's in the womb, he seems to be highly conscious. When rather it's a pure consciousness to remember Krishna. No?
Yeah.
So
So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains this, Prabhuji, in one bhajan, where Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that in my womb, in the womb avastha, when I was in the womb of my mother, I offered you prayers, Krishna. I promised you, let me take this birth as a human being, and I will make it my last birth. I will do your bhajan. I will remember you. I will worship you. But then when I was born, somebody very lovingly put me on her lap and then started feeding me her milk and started caressing me, started kissing me. And then another man came and he also took me in his arms, cuddled me, gave me so much love. And then so many other family members came after my mother and father. And they all started giving me so much love. They started celebrating my birthdays. They showered me with gifts. They were coming and kissing me. They were giving me so much love that I forgot my prayers. And then the burden of love, I wanted to reciprocate. So I started going to school to get educated so I can provide for my family. And then again, I forgot you. I got so busy. And then I got married and I had a job and I became so busy maintaining my wife and my children and my old parents that again, there was no time for you, Krishna. And in this way, the life went on. And now I am in my old age. I am diseased. So many diseases are afflicting my body. I am in a very painful situation. And alas, alas, now I'm remembering the prayer I have made, the promise I had made in the womb. But I forgot. While I was living, I got distracted by so many things. So we can understand it in this way, Shamchandra Prabhu, that yes, Krishna is so kind that he gives us the remembrance and makes us offer the prayers. And most of us forget those prayers. We get so distracted in this world that we start. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when my mother first time took me in her lap, I thought maybe this world is not such a bad place after all. maybe there is happiness. And then I spent my life in the search for happiness. Sometimes I got, sometimes I did not get. But now I realize that all the happiness that I got in this world was very meager, very temporary, like the proverbial carrot hanging in front of the donkey. So, so a couple of things the way I understand it. One is that Krishna is kind. He allows us to offer prayers in the womb, but we get distracted, deviated, diverted, and we forget those prayers. And second is to understand the word daiva in that verse. If someone is very, very sinful, Prabhuji, someone is very sinful, someone has committed many offenses, then maybe daiva means Krishna may not uh, give him that remembrance because Krishna knows this fellow doesn't want to pray. So they may not even offer the prayer in the womb. Therefore, the word daiva is used. So that is the way I reconciled and I understood it. Does that make sense, Prabhuji?
Yeah, actually, I mean, that means it's after birth that the forgetfulness nature seems to be stemming in based on the circumstances, which can be different for different jivas. That means prior to birth, it looks like the consciousness is same at the same level for everyone. That because everyone is able to remember Krishna as per this Srila Prabhupada's purport.
7th month.
Hmm?
In the 7th month, yeah.
Yeah, so what makes a difference is only after birth that the people, some are able to have that elevated consciousness and then some are degrading their consciousness because of the external circumstances, it looks like. But then where is the question of differentiation of consciousness uh, based on the past activities uh, even prior to birth, because the parents are not decided by the child. It is his activities, karma is deciding which parents he will get in the next life. So at the same time, he's given the facility in the womb to remember, and as per this, everybody is getting a chance to remember, and everybody forgets after so my basically thinking was that the consciousness is developed even before birth based on the past activity, but if you are able to remember Krishna even before birth, so they are all on the same level. That's where my I'm trying to understand this.
The way I understand, Prabhuji, is that as Bhagavatam says, that we offer those prayers, but then it is like taking the vows of initiation. We don't make progress by taking the vows of initiation. We make progress by living the vows of initiation after we take them. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that after I was born, I just got distracted. But I also remember reading, I don't know where I read this, but I remember reading that this is a kshanik consciousness, a temporary consciousness that is bestowed on the jiva in the 7th month. And then as the jiva comes towards the 9th month, delivery time, that consciousness is not there. So it's not that when we are newborn, we just took birth and we still have the divine consciousness that we are offering prayer to Krishna. This is a temporary, like a flash of lightning. It's a temporary enlightenment that is given to us. And through Srimad Bhagavatam, we know so that we feel that guilt that, oh, in the womb, I had made a promise to Krishna. Let me get back to that promise. That same promise
Okay.
now, my Guru Maharaj is making me make like that. So in the 7th month, this consciousness comes, but then it goes away. It's not that in the 8th month, 9th month, the child is the same divine consciousness offering prayers. So then what is the use of offering those prayers in the 7th month if you're going to forget them by the 8th and 9th month? And then when you're born, you have the consciousness of a newborn. The use is that when we read in Srimad Bhagavatam, that in the womb, when we were suffering, Krishna gave us some respite and allowed us to have good consciousness, allowed us to offer him prayers, then it will make us feel little more accountable. That, oh, I have made those promises to Krishna in the womb. I must follow them like that. That is the purpose it serves.
Okay.
That's my understanding,
So
Prabhu.
if a jiva is born in a devotee environment, then maybe when he's coming out, he or she is coming out, then that consciousness is preserved to a large extent. and it's like it's allowed to nurture more and purify it further because of the circumstances. And the other case, when the jiva is born in a filthy environment, which is filthy means material consciousness, then he is made to forget what he briefly saw or felt in the womb, which you're explaining now. So that's okay. That makes sense, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, just one
Thank you.
little clarification, not exactly. So, little clarification. Even if a child is born in a devotee family, it is not that when the child is born, that consciousness is preserved exactly how it was in the 7th month. Because otherwise we would have remembered it. Some of us would have remembered it. Somebody like, very advanced Vaishnavas in our movement, Radhesham Prabhu, could have remembered that, oh, I had the consciousness when I took birth. But none of us remember it, because when we, after that phase in the 7th month, when we remember the karma, previous karma, and we offer prayers to Krishna, promising Krishna that I will perfect my life this time, I will serve you, I will worship you, then that consciousness goes away. And then when we are a child, when we are a newborn, and then when we are a child, we don't have that consciousness. Someone has to remind us about Krishna, someone has to teach us about Krishna. We ask questions. We literally start with a blank slate. But the beauty of consciousness is such, Prabhuji, it is like getting locked out of the phone because of incorrect password. It may lock us out for some time, but it will allow us to log back in later on. For example, Gajendra was the king of elephant. All his life, he never had that consciousness. He had a very materialistic consciousness, but in the time of his greatest need, he remembered the same prayers that he had offered in his previous birth as King Indradumna. But throughout his life, that consciousness was not there. But then same consciousness suddenly came when he was in distress. And then he, by the mercy of Krishna, and then he offered those prayers and made his life perfect. Which means a good spiritual consciousness is a gift of Krishna. And he gives it in the 7th month, then just so that we can cope with the stress of being in the womb and coming out and growing up as a newborn, infant, toddler, like that, it is taken away. But when the appropriate time comes, then immediately we take it back. For example, someone may take birth in a devotee family. You have 2 such glorious sons. And how quickly they took to it. They went to Radha Raspberry temple, they met Srila Shripad Maharaj, and patapat they took Mridanga, and they just took it like a duck takes to water. Why? Because that consciousness came back. So the consciousness is also there and then not there, but when Krishna's mercy is there, that divine consciousness can come back. So that is how I understand it, Prabhu.
All right, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Interesting.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so if there are no more questions, we can end it here. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Jai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Prabhuji,
Balaram Purnima ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Gaur Hari Bol.
Hare Bol.
Hare
Hare
Pray for
Krishna.
us.